Hey folks, this is BestInSlot, and in today's video we're going to explore what exactly this brand new mysterious dinosaur is that appears very briefly just as a shadow in Camp Cretaceous Season 3's brand new trailer, and it's a Monolophosaurus. So thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks next time. No, we're going to go into a little bit more detail. It is a Monolophosaurus. I didn't want to hide the suspense or anything. There's your answer if that's all you're here for, but let's talk about that a little more. Because that wasn't the only suggestion. So the other main suggestion, really the only one that had some weight behind it, was that it was in fact a Proceratosaurus, a dinosaur that does have a storied history within the Jurassic Park franchise and of course appeared in Jurassic World Evolution fairly recently as well. And the reason for that, that is being mentioned is pretty obvious. This dinosaur also has a crest towards the front of the head. There's a couple reasons why this isn't the case, however. The first is that the crest is a different shape. You can see with the Monolopho on the right, it does end right there at the front of the snout. The crest is very much in line with the snout, and the back part is a very, very sharp, fairly obvious drop, whereas here it's more sort of gradual. Beyond that, the body shape is close, but not really. The dinosaur on the right is much bulkier and thicker, even though it is still quite a nimble and agile looking dinosaur. But really the kicker for why this is definitely a Monolophosaurus came in the form of a toy reveal that we actually talked about a couple of weeks ago. This is part of a bigger set with Kenji riding like a little scooter, although oddly enough Kenji is not actually part of this scene right here. But either way, it was part of this reveal right here, and as you can see, this Monolopho on the left and the one on the right are very, very similar. The crest does indeed drop in line with the front of the snout, and the crest at the back has a very, very sharp uptick, just like we have here on the right hand side. They do seem to have maybe calmed down with this array of spikes. This toy was very much in development still, wasn't officially out there, so maybe those spines have been reduced. That would be pretty good, because those spines were likely not there in reality, so hopefully this is more the design we're going to get. But I think we can safely say this is definitely a Monolophosaurus, making its first appearance on screen in the Jurassic Park franchise, but not by any stretch its first appearance in Jurassic Park. Its first canonical one, sure. Before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about the dinosaur itself. What is a Monolophosaurus? Well, this is the single-crested lizard, so named because it has a single crest upon its lizardy body. It's from the mid-Jurassic, which is nice because a lot of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are not from the Jurassic era. They called it Jurassic Park because Jurassic sounds cooler than Cretaceous. It's carnivorous because of course it is, and recent estimates have it at about 24.6 feet long at a maximum. This is a large, potentially, dinosaur. Now, we only have one specimen and obviously it's not fully complete. We can't get a fully rendered image of this creature, but it used to be put about 16 feet and that has extended more and more over time. Now, if I had to wager a guess before we carry on briefly here, this one does not look to be anywhere near that size. This looks to probably be more around those older estimates we used to have of around 16 feet, if not a little bit smaller. It's Jurassic Park, they can always say it's a juvenile, they can always say it's a sub-adult. It doesn't have to be fully grown at this point in time. This looks to be probably 15 or so feet to me, if I had to guess based on the dimensions of the room and stuff like that. But that is very much guessing. And finally, it is a... Oh, that was meant to be first. Why is that in the wrong order? Oh well, I'm very professional. It's a Chinese theropod, which is cool. More dinosaurs from China. One of the things I really like about this, if you've seen other dinosaurs with appendages and stuff like that, a lot of it is estimated. If we look at the skull of the Monolophosaurus though, you can see here that the crest is in fact bone. It is part of the skull. It is embedded within the skull itself, a very natural part of the formation. And we can see here it does indeed drop down in line with the snout. It really is just a very gradual... It looks like the front of most dinosaurs, except it goes a little bit higher up and then it drops down. The turn off isn't quite as sharp as we have it, but beyond that this is pretty accurate to the one we're getting in Camp Cretaceous. Although I will say I think the head has been made a little bit skinnier as well. You can see here in this area it's quite shrunken down and then it kind of bobbles up towards the back. We had something very similar in the toy. There's a bit here and then it bobbles up right there. I don't think that would have been as present in the real life dinosaur. Now, moving on. What is the Monolophosaurus' history in the Jurassic Park franchise? Well, there's your first answer right there. Number 10 of the carnivores was Monolophosaurus, and this was way back when in Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder, which I believe came out in 2001 off the top of my head. And it actually had a really nice design. It doesn't have any discernible crest. There's a little bump there, I suppose. But it's got a pretty cool skin with this kind of sort of mottled, broken up kind of pattern. I don't know what it's doing. It's doing like a little water dance kind of thing. But, you know, it's a pretty cool looking little dinosaur. We had to wait quite a long time after that, nearly 2 decades, well, a decade and a half I suppose, for its next appearance when Jurassic World the game came out. And for anyone who played Jurassic World the game by Ludia, this would not be a surprising dinosaur design to you. Not only do we have the crest, but again, not really, it's got that sharp down tick and it does indeed blend the snout. It should be more like this, you know, it should kind of come over there before going down to the rest of the body. Not only that, but it came with massive spikes, because of course it bloody did. It's Jurassic World the game. I was going to say that's Ludia for you, but if we move on to the next image, this is its appearance, its most recent appearance in the franchise, in Jurassic World Alive. And those of you who've been keeping up to date with Jurassic World Alive will know that the game has staggeringly good dinosaurs for a Ludia mobile game. It is honestly really shocking, and I really like how this one has turned out. It's got a little bit of a ridge around the spine, which is cool. I think a lot of dinosaurs would have had something very similar with the slightly extended spinal ridging, but you know, it's not really ostentatious spikes all the way up. The crest is there, it's got that sharp down tick, it curves around the front. It doesn't look, however, too much like the one we are going to end up with. You can see there's several differences here, not only in a new pattern and a new skin. If we pretend these have been eliminated anyway, considering they aren't in the show version, again, this prominent sort of bump is here, but it's not here. This is a more natural shape to me, I would say. I've got to say, I slightly prefer the Ludia one, which are not words I thought I would ever say, but we do need to see the Monolophosaurus in action in Camp Cretaceous before we can really talk about it. And it's really cool in a way that we're getting a new dinosaur introduced, one that isn't really ever spoken about. So not only does that, you know, give us a new dinosaur to look at and enjoy, but it also opens up questions about what Wu's been working on, about what InGen's been working on. Are Manticore involved in this dinosaur in some way? If we go back to the environment that we find it in, it's a slightly odd one. It's this weird, very modern, put together, fancy looking building. We've got these columns all the way down the side, and you can see the lighting fixtures here. You know, it kind of reminds me of the mansion from Resident Evil or something. Small addendum here I'm making after recording the video. As a few people have suggested on my breakdown from last night, this is actually probably the condo or one of the buildings owned by Kenji's dad. It's a thing that got mentioned a few times in Season 1 and then kind of ignored for Season 2, so that would be a really good callback. And the kind of opulent setting would make a lot of sense. It would also make a lot of sense about why the kids are there in the first place. It's a nice place to hang out, it's safer, maybe again there's a way to contact the homeland. Whether Kenji's dad has an involvement in the Monolophosaurus is a different kettle of fish entirely. I suspect there is something going on there with Kenji's dad, but we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. It's a very odd environment for Jurassic World and indeed Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, so I'm very curious as to where this is and whether what this building is has some form of ties to the introduction of the Monolophosaurus. If I had to guess, it probably does. Either way, there is our Monolopho. I really do like the look of the spikes. I hope that stays. I'm really excited to see how this comes into the series. Now, we'll very quickly, I promise, discuss how that might happen. I've mentioned in the... Let's give it an eyeball. There we go. Wait, where would the eye be? Oh god, wait for it. So you can see here the crest on this one goes to near enough the back of the skull. It would be like around here somewhere. I think also it would be more sort of like that. And then the eye would be about there. There you go, accurate Monolopho. Anyways, so we sort of mentioned that in past seasons we had the Baryonyx last season, for example, and in Season 1 the Raptors got involved, as well as Toro. There's always a mid-sized theropod to square off with our protagonists, because we need a dinosaur that can do this kind of thing, that can skulk down hallways and chase them in shadowy rooms, and we've always had that. And E750 I think is going to be larger, although not humongous, and probably take over the Rexy/Indominus Rex role. We needed a smaller theropod that can bring that horror factor in a different way, because smaller dinosaurs, oddly enough, I think are scarier. I think most people would accept that the raptors are probably the scariest dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They have most of the pure horror themes and scenes, and I think Monolophosaurus is going to take up that mantle in Season 3 of Camp Cretaceous. I think this is something that Wu's been working on the sly, but we won't know for sure until a little bit later. Camp Cretaceous Season 3 comes out in just over a month. That is the information on the Monolophosaurus. Are you excited about this dinosaur's introduction into the franchise proper? Its canonical introduction into the franchise, which is very exciting. Hopefully you are. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Throw me a like if you enjoyed this video. Remember to subscribe and hit the little bell icon. I really do have to try to remember to say all these words every time. It's 6 AM. I'm finally going to go to bloody bed. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers much love as always. Bye bye.